Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and we got some post-draft news and rumors to cover. But I'll tell you what, I woke up this morning feeling good, walked into work today, and it's probably because it wasn't as hot as balls. Why? Because I take care of mine. Go to manscaped.com, use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. So yesterday, Jeremy Jugs and I, we covered the entire NFL draft. We looked at some UDFAs. So what I figured I would do here is break down the latest post-draft rumors. We're going to talk about Rock Ya-Sin. What about Hunter Renfrow? Some stuff swirling around him. Las Vegas signed another UDFA, so I'll show you all 10 of the players that they've brought in so far. But let's talk about Rock. As soon as the draft ended, I had a source reach out to me, and they said, keep an eye on Rock Ya-Sin as potentially signing, re-signing with the Silver and Black, but look for it maybe late May and or after the post-June 1st cuts, because that's when some of these teams start to get a little bit more money. As it stands right now, the Las Vegas Raiders have somewhere around $16 million after restructuring Chandler Jones's contract. I have been a big fan of Rock, and when the Raiders made that deal last offseason with Yannick Ngakoue for Ya-Sin straight up, I said that people are going to like him. He's from Temple. He's a hard-nosed dude. The problem is the injuries. They have continued to add up. Last season, played in only 11 games. If you can guarantee me, which I know you can't, 14, 15 games for Rock Ya-Sin, I would really like him because he's a good press man corner, which fits with what this Raiders team is doing. Also, when you look at how Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler ran their draft, they only went out and got one corner, Jacorian Bennett. Did they trade up to get him? Yes, at 104 in round 4. But, hey, I was waiting for them to go corner a little bit earlier. Instead, they went with a great edge rusher in Tyree Wilson. They also decided to go with a defensive tackle in Byron Young. And one of the things that Ziegler said, even in the offseason, was that they were going to try to build this team from the inside out. I didn't know if I necessarily believed them, but from that draft, they focused on getting players that can make a big-time impact. So you have Jacorian Bennett at corner. I like Duke Shelley, I like David Long Jr., and I like Nate Hobbs. But realistically, after that, Amik Robertson, a lot of question marks. Brandon Faison, a lot of question marks. I think Sam Webb, Cosby have some upside as being younger players. The Raiders are very high on Tyler Hall, who might actually start in the slot for them this season. But to me, all of the moves that the Raiders have made have indicated this. I believe that they're going to run a 4-2-5, and they do want to be physical. Rock is physical. He knows this team. He knows Patrick Graham. And if he's willing to come in on a little bit of a cheaper discount because of the injuries, he's definitely a name to keep in mind. So what do you think here? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, which means it's going to be the very, very top comment. So for all y'all on Sunday or Monday, Tuesday, whenever you watch this video, let me know. Give me a yes, give me a no. Should the Raiders sign Rock Ya-Sin? My answer will always be, it depends how much it costs. And if he's less than $5 million, I'm going to go with it. If you want to be able to compete in the AFC West going up against Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, we'll see what Russell Wilson looks like, hell, the entire AFC anymore, you have to be competitive at corner. And I do love Duke Shelley. I think Duke Shelley is going to surprise a lot of people out there. And Nate Hobbs is going to be better in year 3. But you still need to have some more of experience in that secondary, and hopefully they don't get ripped apart as much as they have, because you're going to be able to get after the quarterback just a little bit more. The move that the Raiders made late last night in terms of UDFA signings after I put out my UDFA tracker was Jordan Perryman, cornerback from the Washington Huskies. So now the number is up to 10 for the Silver and Black, and we're going to continue to break down some of the UDFA signings and the scouting report around Perryman. But Chugs and I, man, we were live for over 20 hours over the last 3 days, and we've been putting in that time, and we got that commitment to excellence. If you're looking for free Raiders videos every single day, we got you covered. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. We got that commitment to excellence, and I hope that y'all can see that with all the work that we put in. Let's continue to look now at Jordan Perryman, 5'11", 198 pounds. Tom didn't have him ranked in terms of his big board. In terms of what I have gathered from a scouting report on Perryman, it says this, according to Dane Ziegler. Perryman looked overwhelming coverage after making the jump in competition to the Pac-12 last season. He has an NFL frame, but he lacks the fluidity and overall coverage instincts needed to stay connected to pro route runners. His physicality could create an opportunity for a safety transition, but he might not be able to make it as an NFL quarter. Dane Brugler, yeah, so I know it's been a long weekend, Chugs, but overall, as you can read, Jordan Perryman, what I see there, could potentially make the transition to safety. The other word that I'm looking at, versatility. I mean, I'm pretty sure McDaniels and Ziegler, when they look up scouting reports, if it says V for versatility, they are all about it, man. Jordan Perryman, welcome to Raider Nation. Coming up, our full list of all the Raiders UDFAs. If you missed the video from yesterday that we put out, I'll show you all 10 of the players that the Raiders bring in or brought in, and why that's kind of interesting. Before I get into that, though, today's show is presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping. For the NFL draft, they're always looking at the top prospects, and I want you to be the best prospect that you can possibly be. I recommend the Lawnmower 4.0. I walk to work every day, so I can tell you this. I definitely have to use deodorant on my balls, and I have to use the ball toner. If you're a guy out there and you want to get your hands on the perfect package, I'll tell you what, this is how you do it. The boxers, the most comfortable boxers you'll ever buy every single year. You ever wonder what type of gift maybe you could get your dad or like Alex's dad, my girlfriend? I get them Manscaped boxers. They are incredible. They're going to hold your balls exactly where they need to be. And if you're a woman and you're watching this show and you need an awesome gift for your special person in your life, or if you're trying to have him become that special person in your life, use code Raiders at manscaped.com. We went ahead and we put that link for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's show. Shout out to Manscaped for always making my balls look great. All right, let's look at some Raiders 2023 UDFAs. We broke down these players yesterday a little bit more in detail, so if you want more of the scouting report, which players I like the most, which players I'm not as crazy about, you can go check out this video right here. It's got the player from NC State on the cover, and you can go subscribe and check it out at youtube.com/Raiders Report. It is in the comments. It is in the description of today's show to just get a little bit more of a overall look at some of those UDFAs. So we talked about Rock Ya-Sin. We talked about some of the new UDFAs out there, but right now as it stands, the Raiders now have 92 players on their roster, and the reason why that's interesting is because when the draft ended, you have 82. They've added 10 UDFAs, and the reason why I'm going to say it's important to note that some UDFAs, and I'm going to use some air quotes here, are really just there for rookie minicamp tryouts. So sometimes you'll see a player like, hey, I'm going to the Raiders, but it's actually not an official signing. It's just that he was invited to a minicamp tryout. So all I'm going to say is this. If every single UDFA is an actual signing, then 2 players on the Raiders roster do have to get cut. If one of those is just an invite, that's a little bit different. Then you can still, you don't have to move on from anyone. But in the world of Raiders rumors, in the world of the Raiders Report, my job here is to give you as much information as possible and, be able to provide content. Let's just hypothetically say every UDFA that the Raiders brought in is a signing. And now you got to get rid of 2 players. Here are the top 5 players that I would get rid of if I was with McDaniels, if I was with Ziegler as well. I would get rid of Mauga, linebacker. I know the Raiders don't have a lot of linebackers, but there's no reason for him to be on the team. Austin Walter, I actually like him as a prospect, but we have enough running backs. Chris Lacy, plenty of wide receivers for the love of God. Gurman as well, not too high on him. And then Ike Brown. These would be the 5 players that I would move on from. But now I want to know from you, name a player that the Raiders should cut. And if you're like, well, what if we want to move on from somebody else? Because from that list of players right there, the number one name that I actually would move on from if I was the Raiders, and I know McDaniels and Ziegler probably won't do it because when they have their guys, they fall in love with their guys. But the player that I would move on from right now is Brandon Bolden. You could cut him and save $2.23 million. I know that he's a McDaniels guy, he's a Ziegler guy, whatever the hell it is, and he's probably a good locker room fit. But you could save $2.23 million. You know what would make me happy? You know what would make Raider Nation probably happy? Is if you cut him, you save that money, you use the $2.23 million, you use the money that you restructured Chandler Jones' contract and either went out and get more defensive help or You go make your star running back Josh Jacobs happy. Give him the money, because I'm getting a little bit sick of the cryptic tweets, the cryptic stuff on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is. Josh, if he wants to get paid, then let's put some money in his pocket. Coming off the season that he did, to me, the way that this Raiders team has been constructed, if you don't have Josh Jacobs on this team, then you might as well lock yourself into a top 5 pick in next year's draft, because they need a star running back for this offense to really move the way that it needs to move. Another name to keep in mind, because the rumors have been circulating, and I know I've been talking about him for months at this point, but then when the Raiders went out and they drafted Tre Tucker, I was like, the only way that the Tre Tucker move makes any sense to me whatsoever at round 3, pick 100, is if you trade Renfrow. I love Renfrow. Renfrow to me is one of the most technical, I don't even know if that's a word, one of the best route runners in the NFL. And he's a really, really solid slot player. However, you've seen them go out and add DeAndre Carter. You've seen them add, Jacoby Myers. You've seen them go out and even add now Tre Tucker. They are trying to replace Hunter Renfrow in some way or another. Now, when you think about the contract of Renfrow, this is what's important. I don't know if it's going to happen before June. At least I don't think it should. But then again, you never know what this organization is going to do. What I want you to keep in mind is post-June 1st, because if the Raiders do trade him post-June 1st, they can save $11.3 million. Yeah, you still eat only 1.8, but if you could take that money, and then maybe that money you can pay Jacobs, or you can continue to add players, maybe like a Rocky Sin, whoever it is on the defensive side of the football. Jeremy just whispered Patrick Queen. I mean, if we can build our defense at this point, man, I'm up for just about anything. If you want to interact with me on social media, hit me up, Twitter, Instagram, Cameo at MitchellRens365, and I'm going to be live Monday and Wednesday this week over on Locals, answering all of your questions after the NFL draft. So RaidersReport.locals.com is where you guys can find me. And if any other things happen today, I'll probably keep you updated there. I promised Alex that I would have a pool day with her, though. I'm going to be honest, probably one of the last things I want to do today. If it was up to me, I'd have my feet up, hanging out with Chuck, and I might take him for a walk. But, it is what it is. If you want even more content from the Raiders Report, put this video out yesterday, Raiders 2023 draft grade. So if you want to see how I ranked Tyree Wilson, if you want to see how I ranked Michael Mayer and the Raiders' entire 2023 draft, that link is also going to be available for you guys down in the comments and in the description. Hopefully you have a hell of a Sunday. I am now getting ready to head out for a few hours. Like I said, I got some stuff I got to do today. Cheers to everyone who tuned in over the weekend. Huge shout out again to Zane DeSavior, our Day 1 MVP, Raider Ron, our Day 2 MVP. Our Day 3 MVP of Rebel, Montana, John Scheffler, too. He was an absolute legend. Tri-Van, entire Mount Raidermore. We had a great time here at Chat Sports. No, not going to get that one. Had a great time here at Chat Sports with all of y'all. We appreciate your dedication. We know you guys have that commitment to excellence. We'll see you all again on Monday. Jugs and I are going to be live on Tuesday, and we are going to be live on Thursday this upcoming week. So stay tuned for all that. Peace out, and have a hell of a Sunday.